Hello, and welcome to today's Speakeasy, where we'll take a look at one of the official selection films from the 2023 American Insight Free Speech Film Festival. The film is called Trio. Trio is a beautiful film from Mongolia that tells the story of a mother who sacrifices everything so that her Down syndrome son can have a happy and peaceful life. Rather than let him be discriminated against in the city, she moves them both to a remote part of the country. The film is a love story between a mother and a son, and a paean of love to Mongolia, its art, culture, and traditions. And sadly, some of those traditions may soon be lost to the younger generations. Let's take a look at the trailer for Trio.
нэгэн дуугаар ургуусаа нэгэн өнгийн цэцэгээ нэгэн талдаа сахиустай чамцалваны бурхтуудаа оммани батмихо хоёр дуугаар ургуусаа хоёр өнгийн цэцэгээ хоёр талдаа сахиустай чанцалваны бурхтуудаа оммани батмихо оммани батмихо
Ganzorig Vanchig is the producer of this phenomenal film, and he joins us today from Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia. Welcome, Ganzorig, and again, congratulations on the film.
Thank you so much, Karen, and really nice to meet you. And it's my honor to be invited for this interview. Thanks also for choosing and selecting our movie for your festival.
You're very welcome. Now, when we spoke recently, you said to me, I'm not a film guy. So how did you become involved as the producer of this film?
Yes, that's right. I'm not a film guy at all, actually. During the COVID time, it happened suddenly. You know that we had very difficult time during the COVID. We have this strict lockdown all around the globe, and lots of fatalities around the world. And then, funny thing is that when the people stay in home, nothing to do. So, we all started watching the movie, especially Netflix, IPTV and, rental videos. And then I eventually fall in love with the Korean, the K-dramas, that story making, storytelling and, serials things. Then at that time, I realized that the film industry, film is actually the very powerful tool or weapon, if you can use it wisely to convince the people, to change the people's perception. Then at that time, the director of the movie, Mr. Batomor Dorj, actually he approached me. He wrote the script as well as did some shootings and showed me the part of the film and asked me to join the film as a producer. So initially I actually directly refused because honestly speaking, I'm not a film guy. So I don't want to really waste my time and also his time. Then he, kept coming. And the story of why this movie was started was that it's almost based on true story, the Trio movie. The Mongolia is a Buddhist country. The majority of population is a Buddhist. And then just before the movie, the director Batomer lost his mother, and then his family was quite religious family, the Buddhist, and then the master monk actually suggested him that if possible, try to use that ancient nomadic, this open air burial for his mother, but it's not compulsory. If possible, then it would be better and nicer. And then he's kind of shocked, but he followed the monk's advice. Then meantime, through this experiencing in this ritual and nomadic culture, as artist, he decided to make a film, not only for his mother but also to keep out this unique, ancient tradition to our the next generations. Obviously, those kind of the tradition will be vanished in few years' time, obviously, because of due to this globalization and urbanization. So then he started the film scripts and things. And then meantime, I also had my mother during the COVID. So then we decided to work on this project for our mothers. Then not only about the Down syndrome, but also the love and the relationship between the mother and son, and also love and respect between humankind and the nature, etc.
And
So this is not for us a commercial project. It's a kind of we try to use art, the motion film, as an advocacy globally.
that's wonderful. So your son has Down syndrome, and you realized that the country of Mongolia was not really equipped to deal with that situation, and so you started the Down syndrome Foundation of Mongolia. So talk to me about how Batumor, the director of the film, who's also the star, he plays the character Jam as an older person. How did he prepare for that? Because I'm not very experienced with Down syndrome, but it seemed absolutely believable to me. Tell us how he prepared.
Yeah, that's a very important question. Yes, I have a son with the Down syndrome. He is now 22 years old. And so then we established, 5 families established the Down Syndrome Association in Mongolia a decade ago. So at that time, the situation was not really good. And there is no the hard and soft infrastructure at all in Mongolia. It's pity to say it's a nation. So then we understood that as a parents, we understood that there's no need to rely on the government services. So it's better to, unite ourselves among ourselves and to start this, establish NGO, non-profits, that's called Mongolian Down Sydrome Association. Then through this association, we worked mainly on the children's health and education and inclusive employment opportunities for the young adults with the Down syndrome. Then through this, the last decade's work, we work with some special schools as well as the mainstream schools to open the special class with the kids with Down syndrome. And we retrain the special needs teachers and social workers around the provinces. Then when we joined on this movie team, Batumor actually spent a couple of months on the special school and the special class with the kids with the Down syndrome. Then he chose and picked up that guy, the young boy, as one of the role and invited him to join the movie team. So it's months of the observation and exchanging experiences and learning from the kids, and it was not easy work. And also we have done quite extensive research, and Mongolian Down Syndrome Association as well as the special school teacher, the Mrs. Agyun, she's called. So all those team helped a lot on this movie. The Mr. Batumor should behave and look like the real person with the Down syndrome.
He's quite wonderful. There's something also quite personal for you in the relationship with the mother as an older woman and Jam. Tell us about that and how that affected you.
Um, I do not consider myself as a good father because I'm quite busy and I have to do lots of things, to live and survive in this community. Because I spend most of my time in non-profits in various volunteer works, not only the Down syndrome but also Special Olympics and youth mentorship program, etc., etc. Also, I'm the host of my own TV talk show, so I try to frequently do my TV talk show with the various guests. And then because of this heavy workload, I used to bring my son with my mother's apartment from Monday to Friday. Then we pick up Friday night and return him to Monday morning. Usually, actually, my son grew up with my mother. It's better than relationship with me and his mother is much intimate to his grandma. And then my mother is just fall in love, fan of my son, and always been together. And then when the school holiday started, and my son wants to stay 1 week or 2 weeks in my house, then mom just keep calling, bring my son, bring my son. I'm so alone. Even I can't sleep alone in the big bed. I feel cold, and he is actually very warm, and etc. And then exactly on that movie, that the relationship between that mother and son is quite similar to my mother and my son. So that was so touching to me and also very personal to me. So then I dedicate all my resources on this film, especially to promote this topic and also these special feelings to share with these global audiences. And today I'm very happy that you guys picked up this, this film and understood deeply the philosophy and the core messages. So I am very happy. Thank you very much again.
That's lovely. And so I know that you're committed to the cause of raising awareness for Down syndrome and making the care for people with Down syndrome better, and also to shining a light on Mongolia for the world. And one of the there's so many interesting things I want to talk to you in the film, but the when the mother dies and the outdoor burial, that's very that's an ancient tradition within the Mongolian culture. Tell us about that and how Batumur, who had just buried his own mother, how that all came to be part of the film.
Yeah, actually, that all those rituals actually they exactly what happened to Batumur's life, and his mother was born in central Mongolia, and she sent back and openly buried on her the hometown, and. Of course, it's illegal in Mongolia now. This open air burial. We have the law, but still in remote areas, it's still being practiced in somehow, sometimes. And we have the quite a huge land, but it's not comparable with the United States. But still, we do have 1.5 million square kilometer land, but we do have only 3.3 million people. So very small population and a huge land. And then, however, the Down Syndrome Association is working very hard. Still, we have the limited resources, and because of the limited resources, we cannot really outreach on the remote areas. That's very unfortunate to say, but we try to go all the provinces, all the remote areas. So through this movie, we would like to show that there is an inequality between the city people and people who live in, remote areas. There is not the equal opportunity, especially for the school kids.
It must have been quite emotional for Batumur, the actor and director, to do that scene. How did he feel after doing that? Was it cathartic in some way for him?
Yeah, I felt that it's very emotional, and after finishing the film, he was so proud of it. And especially when we were touring around the world, international film festivals. And so far, we have received more than 20 international film festival awards from 16 to 17 countries in 5 continents. So we are so proud of ourselves, and also as a director, actually the trio is the Batomers the first the directed film in his debut, and also the as a producer is my first movie, also the debut, and screenwriter the Mr. Altangirel, he also the first ever time wrote this the film script, and three of us as a trio also all the debut on the film industry as a director, producer, and the screenwriter. So yeah, after finishing film and so lots of pressure off from the shoulders, and yeah, so we're very happy. But before finishing the film, during the post production, so we worked very closely with the different segments and the different stakeholders. So by small group by people, we made a schedule to show them, especially the religious group, the social workers, Down Syndrome Association, and volunteers, and old elder people, etc. Then we just keep taking their comments and notes, and if necessary, we making the edits, especially on those Buddhism and those rituals and the customs. So we have no right to make a mistake. That's why we are very closely worked with these anthropologists, the culture researchers, all those and academians, those kind of the people. So meantime, also we learned lots of things.
Mm-hmm. You also showed the film at the United Nations, I believe, in Geneva and in New York. So the film is getting international exposure, which is wonderful on so many different levels for what you're trying to accomplish. So congratulations on that. One question I have, the music is absolutely stunning. And normally with a film, a composer will write a score to the film. In this case, it's a little bit different. Talk about the musician and how you used his work to make the film so beautiful.
Yes, that's also a very important question you raised, and that's right that the music composer is Mr. Hangul, and he was one of the famous music composer and the legend of the Mongolian music industry, and around in the 60s and the 70s and 80s. So then he has tons of the music and beautiful albums, and now his family, his wife owns the copyright and all those the ownership issues, and then we contacted and worked with that his family's NGO, and officially got the approval to use his music. And then also the Mongolia is very famous for this horse-headed violin. That's our the traditional the music instrument. And then we have the very famous assembly, and then those guys they played our music, and so none of this music is newly written. So all we use these archives and old musics from the Mr. The Hangul's, the archive. So that was very beautiful, and many people asked so, and so also we are very proud of working with his family and to use his music.
It's so effective. It's really beautiful. Now, in terms of what you've discovered about Down syndrome, not just through your son, but your research, how many people would you say, what percentage of people have the condition? And you don't call it a disease.
No.
Or it's
Syndrome, yeah. Yeah, there is a difference between the definition between the disease and the syndrome. the most important thing is that disease is contagious, so this syndrome is not. And also the cause of Down syndrome is the unknown. The people know that it's because of the extra chromosome. Usually the third, the extra chromosome of the 21st pair is usually the extra. Instead of being the two pairs of the chromosome, it's usually three. But scientists still, didn't discover, why, this extra, how come this extra chromosome comes from and why. And in Mongolia, so unfortunately, we do not have the solid statistics and number, but we can easily calculate because every year we receive between 70,000 to 80,000 new babies. But internationally, the average statistics is that there is 1 in 700 birth. So usually the baby with Down syndrome. So if you calculate back like this, the numbers, so there must have been, hundreds of thousands of the kids and young adults in Mongolia. But unfortunately, I do not really see them in the street in Mongolia. I suspect that because of the discrimination and those kind of things, people hide their kids at home. Or second, my suspicion is that because, we do not really have these inclusive health services, maybe their life expectancy is lower than the normal people.
And has your son seen the film?
Yes, he saw a couple of times. And the Down syndrome has also the 3 or 4 different types, and the majority of type is called the trisomy 21, which means the 21st the pair of chromosome is extra, but sometimes 14th and 19th pair of can be the 3 chromosomes. So because of these differences, some there is also the level of the people with Down syndrome. Some people has very moderate, and some of them is quite severe, And for instance, my son is, however, he is now 22 years old, but I think that his IQ level is equivalent to like 3 to 4 years old kids. So he can understand the basic things, but he doesn't really understand deep meaning of, this film and, our conversation. So, but there is another guys, young people, kids with the Down syndrome is very, very highly developed. Even, dual language they speak, English and Tibetan, even, Mongolian, Chinese, etc. So it depends, each kid has different levels and also the different types of the Down syndrome.
Mm-hmm. You recently went to France and showed the film at a conference in France. What was the reception like there, and what was the conference about?
Yeah, that was a great trip for me. I came back from Lyon City in France last week. There is a international film festival on for the disabled people. So the topic is all about, differently abled people and how to defend their rights and also to promote this inclusive society. The first time ever our movie, the trio, was invited as an opening movie of this international film festival. So we are very proud of it. And so then more than 400 people came in the opening the ceremony, and the very high profile people, diplomats, ambassadors, as well as the French Down Syndrome Association came join us. And after the film, so we had a very important and fruitful discussion with the famous French host and French Down Syndrome Association.
So they were moved by the film, I imagine.
Yes, they did, and I saw that quite a few people was crying. They were crying during the movie.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So what is next for Trio?
For me, I still think that I'm not the film guy. But however, um, after the trio, so I have received a couple of interesting proposals from uh, Mongolian artists and some of the directors and producers. So I haven't fully decided yet. The producing movie is not easy work for me. I understood it's a kind of that like a project leader, to do all the research and to manage the whole project, and most importantly to raise a fund to make money, to cover all the expenses as well as these international relations, etc. So then so I'm now having the quite a few the proposals, and haven't decided yet, but I may go for one movie, but can't really say right now. But definitely, I'm becoming more fan of the film industry.
So you might be a film guy after all.
Maybe.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and for opening up a window onto Mongolia for so many people around the world. And I hope that many, many, many people can see it. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Karen. Thanks for inviting me for this interview, and all the best for your film festival.